My biggest one was going to Hawaii when I was 17. I felt like I just came back a different person because it was in that 6 weeks. There's just so many times where I pushed myself beyond where I thought I'd go. The relationship that I formed with the ocean, it's never failed to make me feel so small in the scheme of things, that it feels like it really puts you in your place. So that's like, I'll speak of that with my relationship to the ocean and to nature in general. It's like, it's so powerful that it's hard to actually measure how powerful it is. But you don't know until you're in ocean that's big enough to squish you if it wanted to.
Welcome back to the Surf Mastery Podcast. That is a couple of quotes from Nic Laidlaw, today's guest. Nic is a health coach, a movement coach, a ridiculously good surfer, a father, and a man full of wisdom. We discuss health and wellness, Paul Chek, leadership, parenting, connecting with nature, injury recovery, knees in particular, health retreats, mentors, masculinity, big wave surfing as an initiation to manhood, plus much, much more. You can follow and find out more about Nic at Balanced Studio on Instagram and balancedstudio.com.au, and of course links to all that in the show notes. But before I fade in that interview, I want to let you guys know about my coaching program, which starts next week. It's a 6-week online coaching course teaching the fundamentals of surfing, mainly targeted to the self-taught intermediate, but applicable for all levels. And it's a summary of all of the lessons that I've learned through doing this podcast and working on my own surfing and as a surf coach over the last 10 years. Spaces are limited. It's already half full. So if you're interested to find out more, just go to surfmastery.com, and of course links in the show notes. But without further ado, I will give you my conversation with Nic Laidlaw.
How you going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I recognize that surfboard.
Oh, far, yeah.
Gary McNeil, is that right?
It sure is.
Fuck yeah.
See, a surfer's eye is always drawn to that shape.
Yeah, 100%. And then that right-hand rip bowl in the background.
Yeah, that board.
It's been a while, bro.
It's been ages. That board. I was living in Avalon when I bought that board. It is a Gary McNeil. It was just a stock board. It was just on the shelf at Rip Curl Narrabeen.
Yeah, it's a sick. I'll get one day, a Gary McNeil for sure. I love all the sacred geometry and all the principles he speaks about. It's so awesome.
Yeah. I actually had a different one that I bought from Patagonia in San Diego, a different model, slightly bigger one. And I left it on the sidewalk outside. I was surfing Swamis in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I was
I know Swamis.
Getting changed, and it was busy, and I had other boards in the car, and I drove off, and I was like, oh no, I left that board on the sidewalk. Did a U-turn, came back, it was gone. So someone out there.
How long?
Oh, however long it took me to drive around the block. But you know what it's like. You know what it's like. You can't just do it. There's a
you got to get back on the highway. Pretty
America,
much.
yeah, you got. So it would have taken me at least 7 minutes, probably.
Oh, that's devastating.
So someone out there has a Gary McNeil that they picked up for free. I hope they're enjoying it.
Guiltily shredding it. Those bastards. That would suit the energy of those waves over there, hey?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Everyone's into alternative boards over there.
Yeah. Well, it seems a bit, especially that part of the coast, in like from Carlsbad or even a bit further down there. It feels like it's just a bit softer, maybe. Or maybe that was just the energy that I got when I was there, but it just feels like a little bit slopier, a little bit slower moving waves than what I'm used to.
Oh, it's definitely...
Perhaps.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit more gentle than the east coast of Australia. User-friendly is a better word.
Yeah, I reckon. Sick fun. I had so many fun waves down there around Encinitas and even further towards Mexico. Yeah, so much fun.
Oh, yeah, it's paradise around that part of the world.
It is. It's a really good setup.
Yeah, not just for surfing, just the vibes and everything.
Yeah, no, my wife Maddie and I traveled there because I went there to San Diego to study with Paul Chek, and so we spent like 6 weeks just traveling up the coast and back down again. It was so much fun. We both had heaps of fun waves.
What board were you riding when you were surfing over there then?
We took because it wasn't just a surfing trip. We did like state parks and went into the cities and just explored around. So we took two boards. I took a 6'2" kind of thick single fin, and then we had a 5'10" really wide, really flat 20 that could be converted into a quad. So it was kind of like Maddie and I could both ride either of those boards.
Yeah.
And I spent most of the time on the 20 that could be converted into a quad. Frank Tachibana shaped both of them, and so he's a mate of mine, and hand shaped them both. And they're fun boards. I still ride his Fishers and his Shorties, so they're epic. And I also probably have gone a bit. If I was there again, I'd probably ride like more of like a long fish, I reckon, for those points around Santa Cruz and stuff.
Yeah, good call.
Pleasure Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have a long fish these days if I was back there again. I did some body surfing too. We had such fun, just a fun time.
Yeah.
California was really good to us.
Yeah. So you were there doing the Paul Chek stuff. What's the biggest takeaway from doing the Paul Chek stuff?
Well, every time I've studied with Paul Chek face to face, he kind of reiterates the similar sentiment of like, you're here because you want to help people and you want to help, with the healing process of people or the optimization of your client's health. But what we're really here for is you, and so he pretty much uses the foundation principles that he teaches, whether it's about the scientific movement principles or whether it's the holistic lifestyle principles. The principles of health are very, very basic. It's like the mental, emotional, and the thought process, it's hydration, it's the rhythms that we sleep in, it's the breathing, it's the movement, it's the nutrition, it's our chemistry. So he'll kind of lay down those foundations and see how it applies to you with a series of, shamanic work, breath work, infant development, movement patterns, obviously nutrition, gut health, and all of those things, and just applies protocols to you and asks a lot of questions of you in order to understand your own physiology a lot better. And then the idea is to pretty much open the textbook when you get home and see how you can further delve into those principles and share them with your clients. So that was a long way of answering. I think the biggest takeaway is like full acceptance that we're all wounded healers, So like and he exemplifies that with every word that he speaks, so that we're all on our own journey and that we don't need to be like perfect or we don't need to know everything in order to help other people. Another thing is like it's a very nuanced world, and we need to stop thinking in a linear pathway, just like we need to stop moving in a linear pathway. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So just broadening our ideas and our headspace to a more nuanced existence. And then that was in 2015, 16. And since then we had children, crazy bushfires in Australia. We had the whole COVID debacle, and it's like, that's really put me in good stead just to be able to sit back and watch and just be accepting of other people's views and behaviors, whether it's along the same line of my thinking or not. It's just everything starts with Paul Chek with the yin and the yang, and that's why I got on the logo of my own business as well, because it's such a broadly painted brush, that symbol, that symbiology. But it's also so deep in its essence that you just cannot have one coexisting without the other. We need the sun to be setting for us to rest and regenerate so that we can go and get it the next day. We need the winter cooler months so we can go and really send it and get, put ourselves on the line and get pitted and have a really nice rugged winter. Then we can come into summer and just cruise. And we need the fiery relationships in order to cater to our softer side. Like it's like a fully embodied concept, and he's spent a lot of his life studying the yin yang philosophy, and I just think that applies to everything, and so he's imparted that in a really broad way to me, just to help me be less dogmatic. And I think as humans we're drawn to like wanting a parameter to work with or to work to have us guide us. Whereas he just blows that out the window, and it's like, nah, sorry, it's not that easy. You need to be, it's not need to be, but it might be helpful to be more open than that. Less discerning than that. Discernment is certainly something that he's very good at, but like, because he doesn't suffer fools. But at the same time, it's just like it's not the easiest path to walk and live and talk in, with a truly open mind and an open approach and a curious approach to things. But from the living example of how I'm trying to do it and how I'm trying to impart that on my children, and to a certain degree, the studio that I run, it's not as easy for people to grasp and get in the door straight away, or for kids, especially, kids, they want discernment. They need discernment sometimes, and that's important. But overall, giving them less direct answers and encouraging them to think for themselves, I think we'll see. They're only 4 now, but we'll see. I think it's going to foster, a broad creative mind.
Yeah. What's inherent in the way Paul Chek, or what he imparted to you and his students, was the necessity for leadership by example.
Yeah.
Whereas you're there to work on yourself first and foremost.
100%, dude.
And that's with kids. It doesn't matter what you tell your kids. That. Does not matter what you tell them. They'll do what you do. Monkey see, monkey do.
100%. They hear you to a degree, but they see you more than anything. They see it, and it's, how you treat, how the vibration of the household is, how you treat other people in the house, how my wife and I relate and connect, and that's what they're seeing. And then how we connect to them, that's what they see and feel. That's their language of a reality to a certain extent. Your parents are just everything for those formative years until you start getting out in the world more, and you're kind of demonstrating what, I hate to say it, but it's like what truth is, because that's even if it might not be the most correct in the scheme of things, or it might not match up with other people's value systems. That's all they have as their examples in front of them. And so I remember, I just thought everything my parents told me as a kid was gospel. And then you start seeking out mentors, you start seeing what your mates are doing, what their parents are doing. And it's like, oh, okay. And the world begins to broaden naturally, which is great. But at a very young age, you kind of need that just, solidarity and from your folks, your parent or your parents, just to, show you the way, as in, not got by the way that they live.
Yes. Yeah. So
yeah.
So
sure.
3 boys, huh?
Yeah. 3 big high energy boys.
Yep. That's another passion we share.
Yes. You got all boys?
Yeah, 3 boys. Yeah.
No. You do have 3 boys. I thought yeah, right. Wow. It's wild. And how old are yours?
So 12, 9, and 8.
Wow, bro. That's amazing.
And how old are yours now?
Yeah. They're 4.5. They're turning 5 this year. Yeah. So we had them all at once.
Yes, triplets. That's nuts.
Yeah. I know, dude. It has been absolutely nuts. These last 5 or 6 years since it all went down, and we found out that we were having 3, that we're having triplets, and then we're having 3 boys. And it's like, wow, it's been, I feel like I'm just landing now, to a degree. It's still landing. I still can't believe it. But then there's some moments where you just like, look how big they are. Like we went surfing together on the weekend and had so much fun. It was just, I got down there and I'm like, I got to go run, grab my board up on the hill, and just getting on, having them on the front of the board and pushing, paddling into waves together. And just watching their little, their bodies trying to stand up and trying to grapple with it. And then watching the other 2 on the shore, just getting smashed and just coming up. They're just so, I think because I haven't necessarily got them surfing early, but I've got them in the ocean early. And they've got their little life jackets on, their weddies, and they just get so pumped on the shore, and they just love it, because I think it's been demonstrated from early on that the ocean's pretty safe for them. They're so confident. I'm trying to teach them a bit more respect because they're so little still, but they've always just felt safe with me and Maddie in the ocean. So they don't mind getting a pounding. And I just think that's going to set them up so well if they do decide to surf when they're a bit older, just to not be too adverse to coming unstuck or getting flogged every now and then.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the right attitude. As long as they feel comfortable at the beach, I think
Yes.
that's enough. If you're a surfer and you have kids, that's the bar. Just have them enjoy the ocean
100%.
or the beach itself. So
Exactly.
that's it.
Just enjoying nature, we spend just as much time up at our national, West Head,
Hmm.
so the national park in Sydney. Yeah, we spend just as much time up there getting in the bush and getting in the creek there as we do the ocean. But more than, yeah, for one thing, I'd love them to just feel comfortable and love the ocean, whether they surf or not. But more than even expanding upon that, I just want them to be in awe of nature, just like me and Maddie are, just like me and my wife are, just because it gives us so much. So to form that relationship from an early age, I think, yeah, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading a book by Stephen Ranella about getting kids more into nature. It's really good.
Cool. And does
Mm.
it? I bet there's a lot of practices or ideas that you've probably already implemented that you'll be
Def-
like giving yourself a bit of a pat on the back.
oh, definitely. But then a lot of different things. Just like he's saying, like your kids should know the species of every flora and fauna in your backyard, for example.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like, and that just something as
That,
simple as that just helps them engage with that little part of their nature
yeah,
on a deeper level. Because you and I,
exactly.
we have access to a decent vehicle in nature, but he's also speaking to people that have an apartment in New York, where
Hmm.
they can only,
Absolutely. I think that's where you start,
yeah,
for sure, because that's realistic. But I love that concept as well. And it makes me think, I'm sure everyone's got your three kids have got their own flavors and things that they're drawn to more or less. But one of our boys, River, he's just so into animals, creatures, nature, and he wants to know every bird that's around, and he does know every bird that's around. It's the same with other ground animals when we go down south and the wallabies and the kangaroos and stuff. He just froths. It's like there's something innate in some of us that just are drawn to these to creatures, and it really feeds this like hunger he's got for knowledge without him knowing that it's a hunger for knowledge.
yeah. Oh, I love that.
It's
I love
pretty
that.
pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to surfing wise? You still surfing
Well,
heaps?
mate, yeah. Well, I'm actually in week 10 of a full MCL tear and a partial ACL and PCL tear. So my whole knee, ACL at the front. I know but ACL at the front, MCL is the inside of the knee, and then the back of the knee. So I had a jujitsu accident, I'll call it, when sparring with another member of the gym, and it's just super unfortunate what happened. But essentially, I hyperextended my knee and just heard a myriad of pops. And so I was just completely out for a while. But in saying that, just this weekend gone by, I had my first. I'm not meant to surf till like week 16, so I'm hoping my physio is not going to hear this. But I got to week 10, and I did on Sunday morning. I woke up and North Ave, like where I live, there's this little left-hander that when the bank's good, the sand's really good at the moment. It just breaks so far out, just tapering down the beach. And I was just the last 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm feeling dangerously good, and I know the ligament's healed because I know how to test it and I can feel it. There's still a bit of muscle imbalance, and I'm still getting my range back, but I know that the ligament's healed, and I've been training my ass off, to get back in the ocean. Because you know what? As soon as this accident happened, I was on the deck, and I've been loving my jiu-jitsu, like doing Julie as much as I've been surfing. But as soon as that accident happened, I was just longing for surfing, and I just felt devastated not about jiu-jitsu, not about even the work implications. They came later, but like being a provider and having to run two businesses and kind of keep that going was one thing as well. But like the thing that came to my heart as soon as I did the injury was just like, oh, I love surfing, and autumn's around the corner, and I was just devo. So I worked my ass off when it was time to train, and I got to the beach the other day, and North Ave looked really fun and really little, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to have a little stretch on the beach and see how I feel, and it felt good. And then I was like, I'm going to go for a jog and just say I'll get to North, like jog from one end of the beach and like start kicking my getting my knees high, start opening my hips, and I'm like, it feels pretty good. I'm like, I'm just going to park this idea and see what happens. And then later that day, my dad calls me. He's like, hey, do you want me to take the kids for a few hours? We're free. I was like, that's exactly what I want you to do. So I put my knee brace on and got out there on a longboard, and then I surfed for 3 days consecutive. It was just so fun. Like, fucking hell. It feels so, when you haven't been on a wave going fast, I was riding my 10-footer, like my big board, my big wave board, and I was just trimming, but it just felt so like made me so giddy. Like it was just the best. So yeah, so I'm just re-entering the ocean, and I'm loving it, bro. But yeah, before that, I was surfing a bunch, but training, jujitsu, parenting, running the business, but this has just given me, and yeah, I can be complacent when the waves are small or when the waves are shitty and stuff. Like I felt that over the last few years, and just kind of hang out for doing strike missions down the coast and all those kind of things. But since this injury, I'm like, all I want to do is surf, whether it's 1 foot or 12 foot, I just want to be out there, So I've got an even new kind of surfing's just been there for me, my whole life in any instance. And that this 10 weeks out has just really like galvanized how good the ocean is to me, and just the relationship that I want to continue having with it, Just so nice. So I'm frothing, dude. Just back in the water and I'm frothing.
Well, that's good to hear, man. And I love your honesty around how surfing was like your first thought, like, and you're motivated. Like it's honest and it's true, and it's,
yeah.
I mean, that's what motivated you to do, I'm guessing, an hour and a half at least worth of movement every day to keep the blood flow and the healing juices going to the right area. And that 16 weeks that the physio
100%.
gave you is based upon people doing 10 minutes a day, not 2 hours a day. So of course your healing is going to be quicker. And yeah,
it really does. Without being arrogant, it does feel like that, And I'm just up to like 90 days in a row in the ice bar, having like, 3 saunas a week, and icy every day, breathing, meditating, moving, and just eating schmicko. And yeah, it's great. It was just a really good thing to get me on the trajectory, like to just realign your trajectory of just like good clean living,
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're in the NRL, it would have been 6 weeks before you were back to playing, because you would have been on the compression machines. You would have been hot cold therapy,
right.
multiple massages a day, chef.
Yep.
You would have healed even faster.
Yep.
Those guys heal ridiculously fast because of their access to modern technology.
It's true, yeah. And I really invested, because health's number one. Without my vessel, it's like I'm not. There's a lot. It's challenging to do what I do for a living and everything. But yeah, that's it. I was getting treatments every week. I was getting either physio or osteo and massage every week just to keep my pelvis aligned, keep my back feeling good, all of those things. So stoked with how it's all gone, man.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you on that. I had my ACL surgery back in 2002.
Yes, I remember you talking about this.
So yeah, been through the knee stuff a lot. And I just recently had to go to the specialist about 6 months ago because of knee pain come back, and it's bone on bone now, which is typical, for if you have 20, you get about 20 years out of an ACL surgery before your cartilage wears out, just because of those extra little movements that happen.
It's so intricate, isn't it? Was it your back foot or front foot?
Back foot.
Makes it harder. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate it was my front foot. So yeah, you would have just done a lot more torsion to that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But you'd be surprised, like what your body responds. Even though the cartilage is not there, scar tissue forms. So it's not literally bone on bone unless you do too much. And that scar tissue, if you do more work, then the scar tissue has time to heal over. Then that's when inflammation really starts to come back. So I find if I just worked on my balance. And just didn't
all the stabilizers cranked up
and just backed off how much surfing I was doing, and it's found its equilibrium.
It settled down a bit.
Yeah, it feels like it did years ago. It's fine.
That's great. And the body is incredible how it adapts as well. It's like, I don't think, because I chose not to get surgery on the MCL. ACL is different, I believe, but I chose not to get surgery on my injury. And it's like thinking about it and discussing it with my osteo. It's like it's not going to look good on an MRI ever again, I don't think. But the tissue has an amazing capability to reorganize itself and restructure itself to the imposed demands, right, that we put on it. And if we can do that in an intelligent way, it's like the body is actually a healing machine. It's made to heal. It's not going to be symmetrical, but that's, we're not symmetrical, so it has a way of adapting and healing pretty well.
Oh yeah, not only is it made to heal, but even something like if you'd torn your ACL completely, that doesn't heal. But
that doesn't, right? Yeah.
No, there's no blood supply, so it doesn't. However, there's arguments to saying, yes, if you get ACL reconstruction, it's a false ligament in terms that it's there structurally, but it doesn't give any proprioceptive feedback, right? So you're sacrificing. If you don't get that surgery, then essentially there's less trauma on the knee because you don't have to go through surgery.
Yeah.
So there's less scar tissue. So there's more other ways of propriocepting the already damaged knee. So a lot of people just choose not to get their ACL reconstructed nowadays. And they have, as long as they keep it strong, then they have great outcomes.
Every day's leg day. No, I had this, one of the specialists I saw, had to see a few specialists until I got the right answer that I wanted to hear. But one of the specialists I saw was, I think it's Alex Nichols. He's got this knee institute, I think he called it. But I went in there and there's like more space for rehab than there is. It's a surgery, but there's more. The gym area and the rehab and the physio space is much bigger than the couple of offices and the surgery room they have. And I'm like, this is a good sign. And he's doing rehabilitating ACLs without surgery and MCLs and even PCL. The back one is a bit of a gray area, but yeah, he's trying to do as little surgery as possible because of what you mentioned, proprioception, healing, and actual trauma to the joint. So yeah, it's good. It's a good way. I was actually, because that was a very medical kind of place that I went to, but it was really that, I was stoked to see that,
Yeah, and he'd probably stoked to have you as a client, because some people probably just go in there, just operate, mate. I don't want to.
Just do it.
Yeah.
No, he's a frother. He was really good, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So since last time we spoke, I think you've started doing retreats, right?
Yeah, we've been doing retreats for a while.
Tell me about those.
So they're not surf specific, but actually we're kind of bringing some more surf specific retreats. So I've got a little gym where I work, and next door to that, we've got like a little recovery room, sauna. We've got 2 recovery rooms now, sauna, ice baths. And so people come in generally on the hour, so they come in. Just before I spoke to you, I had an hour client, and we're working with her. She's got a bit of back pain at the moment. And we're working at just freeing up the joint. And in that time, we're also speaking about, how's the gut feeling? How's the gut health? What else is happening in the life that might be kind of another stressor on the body? And in that time, we squeezed all that in, and then the hour's done, and it's like all the best for the next week. You got this, which she does, which everyone has that power. I love the way that we can serve people in that way. And then the other element is people come in, do some breath work, they have an icy sauna, and then they go on. That's another thing. But what I love doing more than anything is like having some time to fully embody all the principles that I live by and that I teach, not just have them in theory, So instead of having someone for an hour, we've got someone together for 3 or 4 nights. And in that time, we're working with the cycles of the day. So from sunrise, we're up, and we go have nice early nights generally. Go down when the sun's gone down. Depending on what season it is, it depends on the food that we cook for people. Depends on the style of movement that I'm going to teach people. And depending on the crew there's always this great link of people there that kind of like make it a special time as well. So you get to kind of have this element of connection with yourself and with each other, connection to your food, which is the biggest thing, which I think a lot of people take shortcuts with. And I'm really passionate about good nutrition and just like good eating environment, and good produce, it's like just like getting really good, clean produce into you is just something I couldn't stress enough. And all of these modalities combined together is what I feel we're about, more than just, I'm known for like a movement guy, and I teach movement because it's like in a little studio. That's what we've got time for. And I'll talk about the other principles. But when you got someone for a couple of days, you can really embody all the principles and say it's not too much of an ask to go for a 3-hour bushwalk and do some Tai Chi out there. Or it's not too much of an ask to say, hey guys, 7 out of the 10 people want to go for a surf tomorrow morning. So we're going to go down to the beach in the morning, do some breath work, have a stretch, and then go surfing. If you're not wanting to go for a surf, you can have a bushwalk or whatever. And then I'm attracting more and more people that like to surf. So they get more and more surf and salty orientated, which I love, because I wouldn't call myself a surf instructor or anything, but I love taking people surfing, especially from the beginner to intermediate. Like I feel like it's really a really nice opportunity to give people like the rite of passage of surfing and the culture and like the etiquette and all of and just using the ocean in a really like reciprocal way. So that's just the surfing element. But yeah, I love running retreats. So we run 2 retreats each year, and every retreat we do is like, that was the best one ever, you know? So that's something that my wife and I are working towards building upon, and, you know, getting a bit of land down on the South Coast and having like a live on retreat. Like that's our end goal kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I feel like it's a really beautiful way to be able to share what I have to share, like in face to face, in person, you know, a couple of days to get to know each other, get to know their systems, and offer what I can do to help. You know, another thing that you learn with Paul Chek is there's no friggin' answers. You're not like healing people. You're actually just asking questions. So the biggest thing I could offer is just be a really good listener and help other people to tune into their own systems, because like, I can lend you my expertise, and that's one thing, but like innately we all know like how to look after ourselves and how to heal ourselves. It's often just about quietening all the other stimulus around us, I think.
Yeah, asking the right questions. Ask everyone if they know what a good diet is, and most people will say they might not have as much knowledge as you or I, but they certainly know how to eat better than they currently are.
Yeah, and they know what makes them feel. Yeah, they know what makes them feel shit house. They know what makes them feel tired the next day. You know, we know those behaviors, and that's okay to do them. But at least we can't kind of bullshit ourselves. You know, if you ask the right questions and poke into the blind spots, sometimes it can be really illuminating.
Sometimes I feel people are on the fence. They're like, oh yeah, I really want to train and eat better and have a go at this health lifestyle thing. But then it comes to Friday night and their friends are saying, come on, nah, stuff that, let's go out for a drink. And they do that. But if they have the opportunity to get together with other like-minded individuals for 4 days,
exactly, dude,
then they can dive into it, and you build, I'm sure there's all sorts of WhatsApp chat groups and friends are made. And
yeah, exactly. And then it's like, it makes it totally permissible to go and have a blowout and really enjoy that blowout and then get back on the program, you know, because it's like, you just need to make some I wouldn't even call it a suboptimal choice. I'd just call it, if it comes from the right place, going out and having a blowout and eating rubbish and drinking too much, whatever it is that you decide to do, I'm all for that if that's for you. But if you love yourself through it, you know, like really enjoy it. Like Maddie, my wife, and I on the weekend, this is pretty, like, we're pretty soft in the scheme of things, but it's like Maddie's been like really looking after her health and diet, and she's like, no sugar lately at all. And she's been feeling great for it. But Easter comes around and she's like, oh, will I, won't I? But it's like, if you're going to do it fully and love yourself for it, you know, like love every moment of it. And then you'll get the feedback from your body that it's time to get off that train. But what I suggest is not to half in it and feel guilty about it. Like, just do it and love yourself through it. And then that naturally comes to an end, instead of this like, ooh, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm, you know, and then it just creates like a cycle. It can create a cycle. So we can tell ourselves some crazy stories.
oh man, I love chocolate.
Dude, I love chocolate. That's like, I love coffee, but like, I think if I had, they're the 2 biggest things, you know, but if it's chocolate, or if I had to choose one, I reckon it'd be Chocky, hey. It's so good.
Same.
Yeah. Yep. It's so good.
Oh, so are you a regular coffee drinker?
Yeah, I'll have a long black most days.
Yeah.
I am pretty sensitive to coffee, and since we had the boys, we're, you know, that you go, now we're sleeping great, but like it's taken us a while, you know, to get them all on the program of freaking sleeping all night. And I think the more tired I am, the more I need to be wary of coffee, if that makes sense. And the more you want it, but I'm quite a sensitive person, so it can make me friggin' pretty antsy if I have it and don't have like the reserves to be able to metabolize it.
Yeah.
So I do drink coffee. Like there's often I'll have a day or 2 off a week, just depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling tired and wired, and often it's funny, hey, it's often on a Monday, because Thursday I pretty much switch off from I just get my training done on Thursday clients, but then I don't really think about work too much until the Monday. And it seems to be like you get to, because we're so busy with the kids, then you get to Monday and you're like, holy shit, like it's compounded. I've got a lot to do this week. And often that'll be the day that I'm like, I don't need a coffee because that's going to frazzle me. You know, it's about just, you know, so Monday's often the day I'll have off from coffee.
Yeah.
Because it makes me a bit antsy.
Obviously, Paul Chek's been a big influence.
Mm-hmm.
Who else has been influencing you a lot recently? You doing any more study?
Not at the not actively studying at the moment. I did my big stint with Paul Chek. That's the foundation of my, of a lot of the things that I share. And then studied with Ido Portal,
Oh, yeah.
he's a movement guy.
Yeah.
Fighting Monkey, they're like athletic development. They do performing arts. They're freaking amazing. They teach you a lot about improvisation and learning the elastic structure of your body. And they have a really deep philosophy behind it, which I love. So that in the movement world, that's kind of like the base. And it's like, it's funny. The first person that came to mind when you said that was when you asked me who's inspiring right now. It's like Tom Carroll. It's like I'm lucky enough to call him a good mate of mine. We live in the same community. He's lived through amazing highs. He's lived through incredible adversity, and he's never too busy to say g'day to a frothing Grom, but actually ask them how they are. He's never too busy to talk to a lady who's just gotten into surfing. And I've witnessed all of these things, who's just gotten into surfing and is just starstruck by him. And he's also a brother that when I did my knees, I had so many injuries, he called me and we just had a chat and I just friggin' had a big old cry to him of just like, oh dude, look, I got to work and I can't surf and I can't even use my body to provide for my family. And he just is such a sensitive soul that he was just so there for me. He doesn't owe me anything. He has nothing to gain from me. He's such a champion, not only in his surfing, but in his I love the way that he embodies life. And he froths that hard, dude. I know you've met him as well, but he froths harder than most. And he's I think he might be 60, but he's getting towards that age. He surfs so much and foils surfing, training hard, he did, and he's just got such a big open heart, and that actually supersedes everything else, all of everything else. He's just got such a big open heart, and such a froth for life. And so yeah, he really inspires me. And I didn't even think of that before you asked me, but as soon as you asked me, he's the first face that popped into my mind. Yeah, he's a legend.
That's awesome. I mean, I look up to Tom a lot as well, and Tom's amazing. It's so important in life to have these people who we look up to, whether it's
absolutely
an elder who you consider a friend or a specific mentor or whatever.
It's so important, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we can't do it alone,
and we shouldn't do it alone either. I think I've been fortunate that I've always seeked out elder males. I've got a really good dad, a great dad, and he's never been too big to point me in the right direction, or even just to accept all these characters that I fall into flow with in my life. Because mum and dad grew up out west, away from the ocean, in a very different upbringing than me, and they've given this privilege to us to live stone's throw away from the ocean, and we all fell in love with the ocean together. And there's all these eccentric characters that come with the surf culture. And mum and dad are just yeah, right. They see people's good heart and good intentions. They're cool. Some of my mates and over the years, and some people that I've brought home as a kid, and I've had lots of mentors. Really lucky from the surf community and from NASA, our local board riders. And some of these people that mum and dad have come across, they're just really trusting and accepting. But I've had some really colourful outside the box kind of thinkers from a really early age. So I'm so frothing on that. It's so lucky.
Oh man, you live in a special part of the world for sure.
Yeah, it really is, dude. Yeah, there's a lot of special people. It's wherever you seek it, I reckon. And there is that thing that brings you in to flow with other people that maybe if they're not even like-minded, they've got something to offer you.
Yeah, we don't have to name the place, but those who know how special the surf is there, but also it's just such an idyllic place to live, and it attracts.
It is
so many special people.
I've got no. Yeah, I think I live on the northern beaches in Sydney, and it's just it's a beautiful place. And I've got I live at Avalon, and I'm super proud of our community, and it's evolving and it's changing everywhere changes, but that's just part of life. But yeah, at its core, it's still a very special place that breeds a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it certainly does. Oh man,
for sure. You got to experience that.
Yeah, no, I miss it like crazy, man. I mean, I've lived in
Yeah, right.
I've lived in Point Dume, Malibu. I've lived in London. I've lived in New York. And
Wow.
if I had to go back to one of those any one of the spots I've lived around the world, it would be there.
Yeah, you reckon? Yeah,
Oh,
that's
for sure,
cool.
without even second guessing myself.
And are you back in NZ now?
Yeah, back in NZ, back in Hawke's Bay. Yeah,
Nice. Oh, cool.
yeah. Got family here, and family and friends are here, so
Beautiful.
good place to raise the
Yeah, that's where
kids.
you want. That's where you want to be for sure, dude.
Yeah, no, that's the most
Yeah.
important thing is raising the boys.
There's no higher task, is there? Like, there's no greater honor, really.
Yeah, for sure. You've got mentors above you, and then mentees below us.
Totally. That's just the purpose. I used to have like different lofty goals of what I want to achieve and all that stuff. When you become a parent, it's just like that's it. That's your living legacy. Yeah, nothing more important.
But you can't let it go. You can't lose sight of your own stuff either.
Fuck no. No, like I'm even more inspired to get barreled. I'm even more inspired to kick ass, like in relative terms to what it means for me, because it's like I want to be their hero. I think we've all seen it. The parents that live through their kids that sacrifice, and there's no doubt about it, there's certainly sacrifices with being a parent, but like that's what comes with the choice of doing it. But like yeah, it's lit like a fire in my belly, even more so, like to just like to be I don't want to use like the authentically myself, but like it's that thing of just being your unbridled self, because I would love them to feel comfortable in their skin, just to express themselves and be themselves. And it's something I didn't grow up having, that innate confidence, but it's developed as I've grown up. And I just think if I can do one thing, like you said, like we said at the very start, it's so important to live your dream, because that's what they see. If they see someone that sees work as a slog, and it sees life as something to get through, then that's a bit of a bummer of a picture for your parents for your kids to see. If they see you coming home from work, maybe tired some days, but overall, if they see you frothing more than not, like I think that's good. And how do we get those happy chemicals in our body? By doing the things we love. And for me, it's like moving my body, being in nature, and surfing my butt off. And having like really good relationships in my life as well, like from everything.
Yeah, it comes back to how we started, which is lead by example.
Don't talk about just doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And it spreads out, not just your kids, obviously, they live with you, they see more of you than anyone else. But obviously, it spreads out everywhere. Your community,
Totally.
obviously.
100%. And like I said, having that opportunity where there was just always like I've just been lucky where I've always come across really great mentors. Like that's something I don't take lightly in my role in the community as well. Like I really love, and it just so happens like I've got so many ladies and young ladies that come, and every age of females and males that come through the studio, but like young men seem to really be drawn to the studio, and that's something that I love. I love like getting the groms in here, give him a lot of love and a lot of confidence, but also giving them the boundaries that they need, because they're cheeky little bastards, and just watching them become young men, and seeing if you can just, again, by living it, impart solid values for them. Because I think the world needs and I can only speak from a man, the world needs good people in general, but our masculinity is in crisis in a lot of ways in the world. And I think if there's one thing that I could offer, I feel like I'm a fairly balanced male, so a fairly well balanced male. So like, yeah, I love having young fellas come in here and just sharing with them what I can. It's important.
It's super important. I'm glad you mentioned it, because there is a crisis of masculinity, for want of a better word. I mean, have you come across Richard Reeves' work, for example, maybe?
Okay, no, I haven't.
I forget what his book's called now, but I'll share it with you. It's really, really interesting work. That people mislabel the term masculinity. And
yes, so it has a negative connotation when really
it's not.
Yeah, being proud of one's masculinity is and sitting strong in one's masculinity is so important for the balance of culture and society. Just like I think women need to be so much more celebrated for their power, not their yang strength strapping a pair of balls on, but like the women have strength and power that is so innately theirs that it's like men shouldn't even try to emulate that. Like, and it's such a powerful force. Just like on the other hand, man, we have like an innate strength and power that is really good for our society and really good for our young men to be able to grow from. And I think it's to celebrate, the inner warrior, to celebrate our strength and by physically challenging ourselves, whether that's going surfing big waves. And I know that was my initiation into manhood. It's one of them anyway, having kids is another one, but going and testing your limits, and that's all part of being a young man, and everyone's welcome. It's not exclusive, but I think there is a level of like, I feel like there's so many guys that are turning into like by like the age of a man that haven't really been like taught how to like strap a pair on and taught how to like to lead or to hold it down for their family or to fucking just show up and be a man of your word. Like, I don't think that's as valued in our society as it could be. And I think it's quite confusing for young men.
Yeah, it sure is. How was big wave surfing an initiation?
Like, I don't subscribe to any like religion or ideology personally, but I think nature is one of those things that's pretty godlike in a way that like the relationship that I've formed with the ocean, it's never failed to make me feel so small in the scheme of things that it feels like it really puts you in your place. So that's like, I'll speak of that with my relationship to the ocean and to nature in general. It's like, it's so powerful that it's hard to actually measure how powerful it is. But you don't know until you're in ocean that's big enough to squish you if it wanted to. And so I think from a pretty early age, I think I was like 13, maybe just starting high school, where I started kind of getting that when the waves are big in relatives, and I'll only speak in relative terms, but when the waves are big and you have to kind of like really muster up some courage to get out there, or you have to really think about how you're going to get out there. Like, there's so much problem solving involved to remain fairly unscathed, like whether it's a rock off or whether it's a strategic paddle out, or whether you go around the next headland and paddle out that way. And then there's the action of like, so that's the first thing, is like getting off the beach with a lot of uncertainty in your heart. And it's also pretty awesome if it's equally awesome doing it with a couple of buddies, because like, yes, we're in this together, or even doing it by yourself. It's even like another lesson, embodied lesson there as well. But taking a few drops, getting some floggings, and then being out so far that you're looking at the horizon, and it's like at the shore, which is like quite a way away. And then you come back to sand and come back to land, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so like grateful to be alive and to be in good health. And I still feel like that when I have a big surf out at the Bombie or whatever. It's just like you touch the sand and you're like, thank God, like that is just amazing. So how is that an initiation? I think for anything to be an initiation, you need to like stretch yourself beyond what you think you're capable of, right? You need to step into the unknown. There's the idea of having like the dark night of the soul, which is like unknown, terrified. You have opportunity for all of the negative self-talk to come in. Ideally, you prove that to yourself that you're able and that you're capable to slip into, not to overcome a fear or not to beat or conquer anything, but actually to work with an energy that's much bigger than yourself. I think teaches you a lot. It's taught me a lot anyway. And then to then return to land, whether it's you got a few scratches and bruises, you got a snap board, you've had to do a huge swim across through a rip, or you come in one piece. And I think that's like it's the tale of like the hero's journey encapsulated in like a couple of hours, perhaps, So I think there's a lot to be said about, and we don't have, it's coming back more and more with formalized, men's work that people are doing out there, which I love. But it's when you're doing it with nature, it's such a great thing. And I think that's, it's very, very much, you can feel, my biggest one was going to Hawaii when I was 17. I felt like I just came back a different person, because it was in that 6 weeks. There's just so many times where I pushed myself beyond where I thought I'd go. I accepted help from these amazing people that were in my corner. I had to figure shit out by myself a lot, whether it's, in so many different ways. So yeah, I do think it's like that does offer a really good, solid, honest initiation for a young person.
100% agree. I love that. You nailed it. Yeah.
Well, you go through it enough times, and you can start to put some words to the experience. Hey,
Yeah, well, a big wave surf is almost it's a good metaphor for any challenge that
yeah,
you face in life.
but yeah, beyond surfing for sure.
Yeah, and for surfers, it's big wave surfing might be the thing. You have this desire, right? It all starts with that, and then you self, oh man, am I
Yes.
ready? Oh, it's triple overhead. Am I ready for this? Oh, and if you've done your training and you've got the right board, it's not going to get rid of self doubt, but
No.
it's going to give you a reason and some evidence to be confident, and
Yeah.
then you can go out and test your training and your and all those other hours.
Yeah, and you have to face all of that self-doubt, because I think all the fear comes from like a seed that's within ourself, a fear of, we see a huge wave that reflect, like, that's fucking scary, but that reflects something in us back to us, that gives you the mirror of like, can I, should I, and you have to go through so many mental challenges, work with so many mental, not obstacles, obstacles, challenges, to even get yourself in the arena. It's a very rich experience.
Yeah, it's the same as signing a lease to a building to run a business from.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I did that when I was 21. That was pretty scary.
Yeah, but would you have done that if you hadn't have been to Hawaii?
Oh, I wonder, bro. I wonder. I think that was a big game changer going to Hawaii, because I kind of came back to school knowing something that a lot of people didn't know, like knowing something about myself that very few people knew about me, and it kind of didn't matter. I didn't really. It wasn't those days where social media, like, you need to get shots to prove what you've just done. It's like I came back with this confidence of being like, I've seen some shit over the last while, and it actually gave me a lot more. How speaking about how I wasn't really born, I didn't really grow up with this innate confidence just to be myself. Like, I've never felt so free. Adulthood is so much easier than adolescence for me, like, because I just give myself permission just to be me, and I just, there's less. It's not that I don't care, but like, in the sense of, it's not really any of my business what other people think of me. Like, so I'm good. But and that was the beginning of it, coming back from Hawaii and being like, cool, I know that I feel really like there was a confidence in me, and that just helped me pursue, like, that nailed one thing. I was still doing the pro juniors as a competitive surfer then, but I was 17 at that age where it's like, I don't know if I'm good enough to be like on tour. And that was like an honest reflection. There wasn't any hard luck story with me. It was just that thing of like, I've competed for a long time, and I don't know if I'm going to crack it. But what I did know for sure is that I wanted to surf every day. And so what that and my parents have both they run a business together. They're hairdressers, and they've had a salon, for 30 odd years, even maybe longer than 30 years in Avalon. Like, they're doing just such a humble, great business and service to the community, but they've always done it themselves, and they haven't worked for anyone. And so I think when I was like, I need to be able to surf every day. Like, that's non-negotiable. And I was like, I like working with people, and I'm really into my health and yoga and stuff. So yeah, so then I decided to do the yoga and personal training, and then straight away it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to work at like fitness first, or you're going to train people in a park? And then I was just like both of those are fine, but for me, I was like, no, I want to have my own. I don't like any gym. I'd never even been to a gym until I was a personal trainer, because I was a skinny kid. I wasn't interested in it unless it was going to help me surf better. I wasn't interested. And then found all the Chek philosophy, and I'm like, oh, this could help me surf better, and it could help a lot of other people surf better too. So yeah, I got a little studio, and I didn't think twice about it. Anything that I got with payment, any cash that I got that was a $20 note or above, I banked it. I took out a 40 grand loan, got a car, got a studio space, and did it up, decked it out, and then I just worked my absolute ass off to pay that loan back within the 5 years, which was the agreement, and I did. And I didn't think much about it. Like, I was just like, it has to work. I was 21 when I did it, so that you don't have that much responsibility at 21. But I didn't really think. I was just like, let's just do it.
I love that, and the non-negotiable. That's such a good term.
Yeah, yeah. You got to surf every day. Fuck. What else are we like? We've got to be able to surf every day. If that's what you want. You should be. We should be able to do. And you live. I've noticed from day one I met you when you were in Avalon. Like that's just like, yeah. Why would? Of course,
Yeah.
that's what you should be able to do every day. It's like there's no I have to. Like, speaking of being a man, like there's no I have to. It's if you do. You find let's find that, and it might sound rich coming from me, but it's like I'm not materially super wealthy or anything. I just like carved out a good lifestyle so I can do what we want and our family can eat good food. And yeah,
Well, that's the true meaning of wealth, isn't it?
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
100%. It's like, yeah, that's our private healthcare is, exercise and organic food.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. That's very, very educational and inspirational. Dude, thank you so much. We have to get you back on another time, but thanks for your time today. Dude. It's awesome.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me on, bro. Love your work, man. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Sweet. And where can people find you online?
Instagram, it's just Balanced Studio. So BALANCED, ED Studio, one word. Yeah, I put up stuff semi-regularly there, or just like, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, Nic Laidlaw, so NIC Laidlaw, and I've actually just kind of relit a fire to get more online, so I've just been chipping away at that more recently. So I've got some new content coming out there and some surf specific stuff as well, good movement, mobility, strength for surfing and all those kind of things. So yeah, that'd be a good start. YouTube or Insta, and that leads to the website and my services and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. I'll have links to all that stuff in the show notes. And until next time, thanks, Nic.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I noticed that most people that listen to this podcast haven't yet subscribed. So if you could do that, that would be a huge help. Will help grow the show. And a review and a rating is also a massive help to help the show along. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode or any other episode of the Surf Mastery podcast, share it with a friend. You can follow Nic at Balanced Studio on Instagram. And of course, links to everything Nic in the show notes. My 6-week coaching program starts next week. More information at surfmastery.com. Upcoming episodes include Guy Kawasaki, Matt Parker, and until next time, get out there and go surfing.